Welcome to the video tutorial for Dream a Little Dream of Me, Square 23 in the Stardust Melodies Crochet Along series. I'm Polly and I'll be your host. If you'd like more information about the Crochet Along, please visit everytrickonthehook.com or everytrickonthehook on Facebook. For this video, I'll be using Aran weight yarn and a 5.5mm crochet hook. Let's get started. Before we get started, I wanted to mention two things. First off, for this square, we're going to be using a corner join, and the reason we're going to do that is so that our stitches look really nice. The stitch that I've created for this square looks it looks really messy actually when I do my usual join that goes up the middle of the side. So for this square, I'm switching to a corner join, and it's just going to help keep things really nice and neat. The other thing is, you might notice my hook is different today. I'm using my Tulip Etimo ergonomic hook, and I like this one for what we're going to be doing because of the metal and tapered head. It's just going to make things really easy getting in and out of the stitches that we're going to be making. So if you have a favorite hook that you're most comfortable with, something that you're really good working with, I would pick that one. This is my choice hook for getting in and out of tight spaces or working with a lot of loops on my hook. Okay, so let's get started. With round one, we're going to make a double magic circle. So take your yarn, wrap it around your fingers twice, and insert your hook into the loops. Pull up a loop of yarn, and then hold those loops tight while you tighten the loop of yarn around your hook. After that, chain one to secure your circles, and now we'll make our round one stitches. We'll start with a single crochet followed by a chain two. Now let's do that 4 times total. So another single crochet, chain two, another single crochet, chain two, another single crochet, chain two. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4 times total. Now to close our double magic circle, find the yarn end and make sure it's coming out from the top here nice and straight. Sometimes it gets twisted around the loop, so if it's twisted, just untwist it a little. Mine is coming out nice and straight, it's just at the bottom here. So take your yarn end and pull on it just a little bit, just until you see one of the loops start to close. See, they're two different sizes now. Don't close it all the way. You just want to do that to identify the loop. So now we can see this one's smaller. So grab the smaller one and pull it from the top. That will close the other one. Once that one's closed, go back to your yarn end and pull on it, and that will close both of your loops. Now we can go back to our round one stitches and finish them by, well, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to slip stitch to the very first stitch. That will join. Just make a regular slip stitch. If you've been doing the other crochet along squares, you'll see me tighten my slip stitch. Well, I'm not going to do that now because I'm going to slip stitch into the chain two space right after that, like so, and then I'll tighten the second slip stitch, the one that went into the chain two space. That's because I'm going to use the two loops of that first slip stitch as though they were the two loops of the single crochet into which they were made. So that's it for round one. I'll see you for round two, and we will show you how to continue with a corner join. Now for round two. All of our rounds are going to start the same way. We're going to chain one, and then into that chain two space that we're already at, make a single crochet, chain two, and another single crochet. After that, so that's how every round is going to start. Now let's do the rest of round two. For round two, we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. So that round one single crochet, go under just the back loop only and make a single crochet. Now we're going to do that all the way around. So in the next chain two space, make a single crochet, chain two, and single crochet again. In the next stitch, under the back loop only, single crochet. In the next chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet again. In the next stitch, under the back loop only, single crochet. In the next chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now in the last stitch, this one has the slip stitch made into it. So just into the back loop of that slip stitch, it's easy to see because it's right on top, just into the back loop of that slip stitch, make a single crochet, just as though it were the top 2 loops of that stitch. And once you've done that, now you can slip stitch to your very first single crochet to join, leave it normal stitch size, and then slip stitch into the chain 2 space, and then pull that second slip stitch tight to make it small. And that's round 2, and that's also the join that we're going to use for the entire square. That's how I'm going to join every single round. So every time I tell you to do a round, I'm going to show you the full side, and then I'm going to tell you to join. Do it just like that. When you repeat the sides, I'll show you how to repeat each side, and then I'll tell you to join. So do exactly that. Slip stitch to your first stitch to join, then slip stitch into the chain 2 space, then pull it tight, and that will finish your round. So remember that for the future. That is round 2. Now for round 3, which is an important round because we're going to repeat this round. So let me show you how I want you to do it. Like every round, we'll start with a chain 1 and we'll work our usual corner stitches into the chain 2 space. Those are single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, all in that chain 2 space. Next, I want you to single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the next corner. So the back loop only of each stitch. Now in round 3, there's only 3 stitches across until you get to the next chain 2 space. But in future rounds, there will of course be more because our square will be bigger. So go ahead and do that. You'll make your corner and then single crochet in each stitch across the side, and do that on each side. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner, and single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across the side to the next corner. And again, single, chain 2, single in the corner, then single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across the side. And I'm going to show you the join one more time. Okay, last side, so last corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner, and now single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across the last side until you get to your first stitch. Then slip stitch to the very first stitch, just like I showed you in round 2, and then slip stitch into your chain 2 corner space, then pull that second slip stitch tight, and that's round 3. So now what I want you to do is go ahead and use that same formula, just like we did. Make your regular corner, single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across. Do that all the way around. I want you to repeat round 3 for round 4 and round 5. So 2 repeats of round 3, and then I will see you back here and we will do round 6 together. Before we begin round 6, you should have already completed rounds 5 and 4 as repeats of round 3. Now we're going to do round 6 and we're going to make some special stitches this time. So we're starting in our corner with a chain 1, and we'll make our usual single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the chain 2 space. Next, what I want you to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. So just 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so our next stitch should be the very middle stitch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make what I gave the name star. It's not really a star stitch, it's just a name I gave to this stitch that I made up to make things easy so we can refer to it easily. So we're going to make a little star here, and I'll show you how to do that. Essentially what we're doing is a half double crochet 5 together. That doesn't really roll off the tongue, so let's call them stars and it will be so much easier. There is some counting involved in these. Unfortunately, there's just not a really easy way to place everything, so we're going to have to do some counting. If you've been crocheting along, then you're already really familiar with the process. If you're new, I'll explain it quickly. What we're going to do is we're going to place our stitches in the front loop only of some of these rounds, some of these stitches that we worked into the back loop. Now we're going to use the front loop. So what we're going to do is count the rounds below. These horizontal bars represent the rounds below. So here's one round below, here's two rounds below, this one right here. This is our current round up here. So one round below is this horizontal bar, two is this one, three, and then four is this one little itty bitty one down here from round one. But we're not really going to have to worry about that one this time. So, okay, so that's how we count the rounds below. Now we also need to count the stitches forward and backward. We always count from the next stitch, whatever our next stitch that we would be working into is. And you can see these horizontal bars are sort of segmented. Each segment is a stitch ahead or behind. So here's my next stitch, and if I were counting down, I would count this one and straight down, and if I was counting behind, I would count each little segment. Here's one behind, two behind, three behind, like so, or one ahead, two ahead, three ahead. Okay, so let's get started with our star stitch. The first thing I'm going to do is yarn over once. My very first leg of this star stitch is going to go into the front loop only of the stitch, one round below, and 3 stitches behind my next stitch. So counting from my next stitch, I'm going to count one round below this horizontal bar. Now I'm going to count the segments 1, 2, 3 behind. So now I'm going to go underneath that front loop only and pull up a loop. Now what I'm going to do is pull this loop up roughly to the height of my stitch so that it can reach where my actual stitch would be going. Now yarn over again, and we're going to make the second leg. We're going to count from the very same stitch, one round below, 2 rounds below, and then 1 stitch behind, 2 stitches behind. This very first stitch of that row right there. Under that front loop, I'll insert my hook and pull up a loop. Then I'll pull the yarn up about the height of my work. Okay, now again, yarn over. We're going to make another leg. You might need to bend this forward or to the side so you can go back and see the stitch you're counting from. So counting from this stitch, I'm going to count 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 3 rounds below. Into the third round below, under that front loop, straight down, not going backward or forward. I'm going to pull up a loop and then pull it to the height of my work. Yarn over again. I've got to do this 2 more times. Counting from the same stitch, I'm going to count 1 stitch or 1 round below, 2 rounds below, then 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead. Under that front loop only, and then I'll pull up a loop and pull it to the height of my work. I like to kind of hold things on there with my thumb. I'm going to yarn over again, and it's harder to see now because there's so much going on, but here's the stitch I'm counting from. Here's 1 round below, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 stitches ahead to that front loop right there. So under that front loop, and I'll pull up a loop and then pull it kind of to the height of my work. You might, at this point, you might really not be able to reach what looks like the height of your work. So just pull it up what you can, and there should be quite a few stitches on there right now, or quite a few loops. Technically there should be 11 loops on there. You might not be able to count them all because they'll be all squished together. What you want to do is yarn over and pull your hook through all of them. And you can see I kind of do a scooping sort of motion when I do that with my hook. I kind of swoop it through. That has helped me get through all 11 loops, which can be a little tricky. They are a little bit loose, but that's why I want you to use a hook you know is comfortable for getting through all those loops. Even if you have to drop the hook that you usually like to use and just use something for this one stitch, we're not doing a lot of them, so just grab a hook that works well for these, whatever kind of hook works well for you. I know everybody's a little bit different. just do whatever you got to do to make that work, and then go back to whatever's comfortable. Okay, after that, what we're going to do is we're not going to close this, we're not going to chain one, we're not going to do anything. We're going to leave it like this and just jump right into our next stitches. And I'll show you why in the next round. Okay, so what I like to do is sort of push my working yarn out of my way so that I can see my next stitch, which is this one right here. The stitch that we counted from, we will not be working into. That stitch counts as worked because now it has a star in front of it. And again, next round, I'll show you why that works that way. Okay, so into the next stitch, under the back loop only, I'm going to single crochet. I'm actually going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. This is actually pretty easy. If you have a hard time figuring out which is your next stitch, you can count backwards from the corner. So here's my corner, and I know I just need to get the last 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is that one right there. So make sure your working yarn comes back this way so that when you pull it through, you're making a regular single crochet in the back loop only. Okay, that was 1, 2, 3, and 4 single crochets in the back loop only. Now you'll notice your star stitch kind of pulls downwards right here. Don't worry about that. We're going to address that in the next round. Okay, so those 4 single crochets took us to our corner, and we can make our usual single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner. Okay, so that is it. That's a full side of round 6. So I want you to go ahead and repeat that on the next 3 sides. Rewind it as many times as you need to see me do that star stitch again. We're going to do quite a few of them, well, not quite a few, but several of them throughout the square. It's not really too many, but go ahead and do that on each side. So 4 single crochets in the back loop only, a star, and 4 single crochets in the back loop only, and your regular corners, and then join like I showed you. And then in the next round, round 7, I will show you how we'll take care of that little dip from the star stitch. Now for round 7. After round 6, this is what your square should look like so far. Round 7 is actually just a repeat of round 3. So normally I would just tell you go ahead and repeat round 3 for round 7, but I wanted to show you how it looks when you do, because these star stitches are they're shaped a little weird. Okay, so let's start with a chain 1 and our usual corner, single crochet, chain 2, chain 2, and single crochet again. And then I'll show you how it looks when you come across the side for round 7. We're just going to single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across the side. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are nice and normal. Now we've come to the star stitch. So this is why we didn't chain 1 to close the star stitch or do anything fancy like that. We wanted this shape, and we also wanted to make sure that the loops aren't too many when we go across so that our stitch counts are correct and we don't have to do anything fancy. This actually makes it really easy, and I did try other ways, and this was just the easiest and simplest and cleanest way to do it. So go ahead and find the top 2 loops of the star stitch. They might be bent down a little bit like that. Just go under the back loop only of it after you've identified it, single crochet in it, and then do that with the stitch right after it. That one might be bent down a little bit too. Just like that. Just work straight across it like normal. They just might be a little bit oddly shaped. But just go ahead and single crochet in the back loops just right across the side. And then we'll take a look at this, and you can see how it straightens itself right out. It really doesn't take anything, and it just, because we're only working into the back loops, they're nice and flexible, and it just straightens everything right out, and we don't have to worry about that dip anymore. So go ahead and finish off round 7 just like that as a repeat of round 3, and then I want you to make rounds 8 and rounds 9, round 8 and 9, both as repeats of round 3, and then I will see you for round 10 for more stars. So now we've done repeats of round 3 for rounds 7, 8, and 9, and now we're on round 10, and we're going to make more stars. So here's what we do. Let's start off, we're still in our corner because we've been using the corner join. So we're going to chain 1 and make our usual corner in that chain 2 space with a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Now I want you to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. One, two, three, 4. And now let's make another star stitch. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to yarn over once, and just like before, we're going to count from our next stitch. So here's our next stitch, and we're going to count each leg separately. So counting from here, we're going to count 1 round below, and then we're going to count 1, 2, 3 stitches behind. Under that front loop only, we'll insert our hook, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop kind of up to the height of our work. Yarn over again for the second leg, counting from the same stitch. Count 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 1 stitch behind, 2 stitches behind. Under that front loop only, pull up a loop, and then pull that up kind of to the height of your work. Yarn over again, counting from the same stitch. This time we're just going straight down. 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 3 rounds below. Under that front loop only, pull up a loop and pull it up to the height of your work. Yarn over again. This is where it gets a little hard to see the stitch you're counting from. There it is, right there. Okay, so 1 round below, 2 rounds below, and this time we're going 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead. Under that front loop only, pull up a loop and then pull it to the height of your work. Yarn over again. And now it's really hard to see that stitch, but it's there. It's that one right there. So this time I'll just, 1 round below is this one, and then 1, 2, 3 stitches ahead is this one right here. So under that front loop, pull up a loop, and then pull it up kind of to the height of my work. Okay, now I can yarn over and pull through all 11 hook loops on my hook. Just like that. And again, that swooping motion that I did, that really helps me get through all those loops at once. Okay, now here's the stitch I was counting from. That's the one that now counts as worked. So the next one is this one. That's the next stitch I'm going to work into. So I'll push my working yarn out of the way this way, and under that back loop only of the next stitch, I'm going to make a single crochet. In fact, I'm going to make 7 single crochets in the back loop only. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, now let's make one more star stitch on this side, just one more on this side. So yarn over once, and we're going to count from our next stitch right here. I'm going to count 1 round below, and then 1, 2, 3 stitches behind. Under that loop, pull up a loop, pull it up to the height of my work. Yarn over, let's count from the same stitch. 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 1 stitch behind, 2 stitches behind. Under that front loop, pull up a loop, pull it up to the height of my work. Yarn over, now counting from the same stitch. 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 3 rounds below. Under that front loop, pull up a loop and pull it up to the height of my work. Yarn over again, counting from this stitch right here. 1 round below and 2 rounds below. 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead is this front loop right here. Pull up a loop and then pull it up to the height of my work. Yarn over, and it's kind of hard to see now, but there's my stitch. There's 1 round below, 2 rounds below, or 1 round below, 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead, and 3 stitches ahead is this one right here. Pull up a loop and then pull it up to the height of my work. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 11 loops. Ready? Moment of truth. There we go. I swear that swooping motion works really well. Try it. Okay, now I'm going to push this out of my way and work into the next stitch, which is this one. Under the back loop only, I'll make a single crochet. Then I'll single crochet in 4 stitches total after the star. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that brings me to my next corner. I'll make my usual corner, and then I'll just repeat that on the next 3 sides. So here's what we did. We did 4 single crochets in the back loop only after our corner, of course, our usual corner, 4 single crochets in the back loop only. Then we did our star, 7 single crochets in the back loop only, another star, and 4 single crochets in the back loop only. So go ahead and repeat that on the next 3 sides and do your join, and that's it for round 10. After you do round 10, go ahead and move on to rounds 11, 12, and 13 should all be repeats of round 3. So complete round 10 and then do 3 repeats of round 3. And that should bring you to round 14, where I will meet you and we will do more stars for round 14. Before we begin round 14, you should have already done round 11, 12, and 13 all as repeats of round 3. So now we're going to start round 14 and we're going to make some more stars this round. This will be our last round of stars, so hang in there, you're almost there. Let's start with a chain 1 and we'll make our usual corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. Pretty much the same thing as in round 10. We're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So back loop only 4 single crochets. Now let's make a star. So yarn over once, and we're going to make it exactly the same, counting from the next stitch, 1 round below, and then 1, 2, 3 stitches behind. Under that front loop only, pull up a loop and then pull it to the height of your work. Yarn over again, counting from the same stitch, 1 round below, 2 rounds below, then 1 stitch behind, 2 stitches behind. Under that front loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. And yarn over again, counting from the same stitch, 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 3 rounds below. Under that front loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Yarn over again, counting from the same stitch, 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead. Under that front loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Yarn over once more, counting from the same stitch, move whatever you need to move so that you can see. Here's the same stitch we counted from before, so 1 round below, 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead, and 3 stitches ahead is this one right here. Pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Then very carefully yarn over and pull that through all the loops on your hook. There we go. Now let's move our working yarn back out of our way, sort of back this way, so that we can work into the very next stitch. Next stitch is hard to see. Okay, there's the stitch we counted from. So the next stitch is this one right here. Seems like I got a yarn over in there, so let me pull that out of the way. And into the back loop only of the next stitch, I'm going to make a, this is tricky, single crochet. There we go. Okay, so that was 1 single crochet in the back loop only. Now I'm going to do a total of 7. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so the next stitch should be the very middle stitch. I kind of like to check it out, just look at it and make sure it looks like, yeah, I'm on the right one. Okay, so let's yarn over once, and we're going to count from the next stitch, 1 round below, and then 1, 2, 3 stitches behind under that loop right there. Pull up a loop and pull it up to the height of your work. Yarn over again, counting from the same stitch, 1 round below, 2 rounds below, then 1, 2 stitches behind. Under that front loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Yarn over again, counting from the same stitch, 1, 2, 3 rounds below. Under that front loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Yarn over again, counting from the same stitch, 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead. Under that front loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Alright, last one, the one that's hard to see, counting from the same stitch, 1 round below, then 1, 2, 3 stitches ahead, that one right there. Under the front loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Then yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook at once. Okay, now into the next stitch. Here's the stitch that we counted from. So into the next stitch, I'm going to single crochet. Let's push my working yarn to the side it's supposed to be on. And then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I kind of like to check here, make sure that I counted correctly. I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches left. Perfect. So I'm right on track. Okay. Let's make one more star. Yarn over once, counting from the next stitch, 1 round below, and then 1, 2, 3 stitches behind. Under that loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Yarn over again, counting from the same stitch, 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 1 stitch behind, 2 stitches behind. Under that front loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Yarn over again, counting from the same stitch, 1, 2, 3 rounds below. Under that front loop, pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Yarn over again, counting from the same stitch, this one, 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead. Under that front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, counting from the same stitch, 1 round below, and then 1, 2, 3 stitches ahead. It's that one right there. Pull up a loop and pull it to the height of your work. Then yarn over and pull through all 11 loops. Then single crochet in the back loop only the last 4 stitches, and the easiest way to find them is to count backwards. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Make sure your working yarn is coming on the right side. I mean the correct side. It depends if you're right-handed or left-handed there. Correct side. Make single crochets in the back loop only of those last 4 stitches. That should take you right to your corner chain 2 space. You can make your usual corner. And then that's it. That's the full side. Okay, let's take a look at that. Here's what we did. We did 4 single crochets in the back loop only, a star, 7 single crochets in the back loop only, a star, 7 single crochets in the back loop only, a star, 4 single crochets in the back loop only, and our regular corners. So go ahead and repeat that on the next 3 sides. Do your join as we always do, and that's round 14. It's really just a repeat of round 10. There's just a couple more stitches in the middle. So go ahead and do that all the way around. Do your regular join, and then I want you to make round 15 as a repeat of round 3. Just one repeat of round 3, and then I will meet you back here for round 16, and we will finish up our square. Before we begin round 16, you should have already done round 15 as a repeat of round 3, and this is what your square should look like so far. Now for round 16, we're just going to finish our square up with a quick round of regular single crochet. So you're already in the corner, so chain 1 and make your regular corner. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the corner. Now the only thing I want you to do different here is I want you to single crochet into both loops all the way across. So we're just putting on a nice basic round of plain single crochet into both loops. This is just going to make things sturdy on the edge, make them look nice and clean, and wrap things up nicely. So just go ahead and single crochet into both loops all the way across the side to the next corner, and do that all the way around. Do your regular corner and then single crochet into both loops of each stitch across each side. And that's it. I'm not going to show you the entire round because that would be silly. Just go ahead and do that all the way around, and when you get to the end, slip stitch to the first stitch to join, and then you can fasten off and weave in your ends. That's it. Yeah, that's it. We're done with our square Dream a Little Dream of Me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the crochet along, and I will see you for our next square, which is our last square, in just a few days. And that's it. Thanks for watching.